Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to another video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about what video games have done to teenage mental health. There's a book I often recommend to parents and educators called Glow Kids: How Screen Addiction is Hijacking Our Kids and How to Break the Trance. So we'll be referring to that in this video and more, so stay tuned for that. All right, in this video, I need to talk about the brain, right? Does gaming have any impact on the brain? What's the research show? We need to address that. Two, there's two sides of the same coin: isolation and connectedness. What does gaming do to each of those in the teen development? What about the addictive nature of gaming? Is it really addictive? Can gaming be addictive? What's the research show and the impacts of that? We want to be looking at the balance between, what's harmful about it, what's good about it, like balancing out, giving them a chance to game without having the harmful side effects. Then what's the long-term impact? What's research say on that? It's a whole lot, I know, but we're going to try to cover all that in this video. When gamers design their games, they're designing it with psychological purposes behind it. They want the gamer to get involved, get into the game, almost literally into the game. And there's a cycle of feedback that they give that releases like dopamine, pleasure, reward, consequences, right? That is the nature of the game. The keeping score, the competing against somebody else, the prizes that you get, the digital money that you earn within the structure of the game, all these sort of things, the advancement of levels and all of it, right, is purposely designed to engage that activity in the brain to release those chemicals that kind of keep you coming back. That is done with intent, and it's with the understanding of what goes on within the brain from a psychology standpoint. So it is using the brain systems to get gamers engaged in the game. It's all by design. One of the things I've heard from parents and students as well about the gaming that they do, and gaming's come a long way since the early days, remember, video games in my lifetime, long ways. They're doing it online, and they are connecting, quote unquote, with people online. Sometimes it's the same people. They go into their little rooms, and the gaming rooms, and I don't get involved in this, so I don't even fully kind of understand exactly what it is, but they are competing with people from all over the world in many cases in these gaming environments. So they are connecting, they're meeting new friends, so to speak. But this non-face-to-face, this non-personal connection actually increases the feelings of loneliness the more teens rely on just that. So if they aren't really engaging in other areas, other ways with their peers, face to face, physically close, then they begin to feel isolated, even though they are connecting, quote unquote, with people from all over the place. They're learning more about somebody from all over the place. I had a student who was a fairly connected socially. And then he started doing more and more gaming, and it impacted him in so many different ways. Staying up later at night so that he could game with this particular people from, I think it was over in Europe or something. The time frame was different enough that he was staying up later, trying to connect with them. The more he started doing that, the less sleep he got, the more it impacted his other relationships, the more he began to remove himself, the more his grades began to suffer. He'd be falling asleep in class. All of it began a downward spiral. And when we could trace back what we were seeing, we trace it right back to the increasing amount of time he was spending gaming and connecting with others through the game and not personally. To kind of talk about what I had said in that first segment about the design of these to activate those part of your brain of reward and the dopamine effect, right? You're getting pleasure out of it. They constantly feedback loop of advancing levels, winning rewards, winning digital things. It is what is doing in your brain is releasing the chemicals, right? Now that people can become addicted to that pleasurable chemical. That's what lots of drugs are all about, right? The increase in dopamine makes you feel good. Same with gaming. The World Health Organization has actually said that gaming addiction is a diagnosable uh, disease or diagnosable mental health issue. In fact, in America, it is reported that 8.5% of teenagers actually can be diagnosed with this gaming addiction. And like any addiction, some of the symptoms of that are withdrawal and decrease of performance. You don't begin to do as well in life as you withdraw from life and get involved in this gaming world. So when you have 8.5% of teenagers falling into that trap, it is an issue that we need to address. I think the reasonable approach when people for any of this sort of thing is about balance. It's right giving teenagers the tools to recognize one, the dangers of this addiction. Awareness is always the first tools in preventative and making changes, right? You need to be first aware of the potential of the problem or the potential of the dangers, and then aware of your own behaviors. So that's part of it. Obviously, I talk a lot about mindset and how that's going to factor in. And it's very important. We need to help teenagers begin to make connections personally, understand things that they can do for connecting with others, get physically active with others, find other avenues to do things with people in person, maybe even rediscover things like board games. I have found over the years that when we have board game opportunities with teenagers in our school setting, I use them creatively, trying to find ways to take them and teach some bunch of different skills that I can tie into the program, but they liked it. They engaged in it. They liked the interaction. So exposing them to things like that, giving them an opportunity to find ways and joining athletic teams or programs or things where they can connect and also be physically active and getting them outdoors and letting them go play, encouraging them to do those things that we used to do in my generation normally. Those are all ways that we can begin to help them balance the fun of gaming with the potential dangers of becoming addicted to gaming. Like any addiction, like anything like that, it can have long term detrimental impacts if we don't interrupt the pattern and make changes in their mindset, make those shifts so that they can adapt to life with some sort of balance, right? When they can find balance, there are some positive things that gaming can do. There's eye-hand coordination skills and problem-solving skills that can be developed through gaming. The danger, of course, is the abuse of it, like so many other things. So long term, we need to help teenagers into adulthood develop that understanding of that balance, those habits, those patterns, helping them find ways to, as we said in the last one, interact with other people in different contexts. If we don't do that, there are cases, as I mentioned in that book about Glow Kids, there are cases where this addiction going into adulthood can negatively impact their employability. So one of the sad cases in my professional career was having a young man came into our program as a sixth grader, had some real attendance issues, lots of a whole long family history challenges and all, but we dramatically increased his attendance by the time he was eighth grade. When he got to high school, though, there was no program at the high school, began to fall away, ended up dropping out. Video gaming was a serious problem with him from the time he left our program going into high school. It really, in my view, was an addiction problem. Well, he's in his 30s today, still does not work, and still spends most of the time at home gaming. We come to an end of yet another video, an important one. And I know for many of you parents out there, particularly who have teenage boys, there should be a healthy concern about the amount of time they spend gaming. So just become aware of that, pay attention to it, because it really can be a problem. As always, I encourage you to subscribe to our channel, check out other videos. In particular, you might be interested in the video, what do teenage gangs do to teenage mental health? Check that video out today, and I'll see you in the next one.